Enoughness deficit disorder, or EDD. Before we jump in, I want you to know that you are loved in heaven, that you have sacred sufficiency, and that you do not have to earn enoughness. Today, we're going to talk about some common manifestations of EDD, or enoughness deficit disorder. In previous posts, I talked about symptoms of EDD. I talked about causes of EDD. And as I said, today we're going to talk about some common manifestations. Let's jump right in. One of the common manifestations, I'm going to adjust my camera here real quick. One of the common manifestations of EDD is, believe it or not, procrastination. Procrastination, where we keep putting off things that we know we need to do and that will have to get done sooner or later. And that walks hand in hand and really is a trauma response in a lot of people. And it walks hand in hand with an aspect of perfectionism, that I don't want to start if I can't do it perfectly. And even though those two concepts are rather separate, the procrastination and perfectionism, they'll frequently walk hand in hand. Here's another common manifestation. People who have a big posture, an inflated posture. Sometimes that's a physically inflated posture where they'll stick their chest out and throw their shoulders back and try to appear big in an effort to intimidate. Those are people who are struggling with enoughness and feel like they can make up for it by their bigness. Sometimes they'll use a big voice. Sometimes they'll threaten. This can also show up in more kind of undercover ways, whereby, for example, they want to one-up you in everything. They have to be the smartest person in the room, or the funniest person in the room, or the most gregarious clown in the room. Those are common manifestations of enoughness deficit. And they're trying to make it up with behaviors that get your attention, get your approval, get a reaction from you. All manifestations of EDD. Here's another one. People who try to guilt you for something they did for you, for being with you, for all kinds of reasons. These people may remind you how much they spent on you, or remind you how hard it was to do something for you. Parents will do this, normally mothers will do this when they're telling you how long your labor was, or when they're telling you all kinds of what a difficult child you were, or what a difficult pregnancy you were. Adoptive parents will go into this when they're reminding their child what a hardship it was to go get them wherever they had to go get them, or how much money they paid for them, if you can believe that. So all those are really deep-seated forms of guilt that emphasize an enoughness deficit disorder. If you have to keep reminding people that they owe you, and that becomes a very strong form of control. And we know that control is yet another sign of EDD, where you think you know better than other people know about their own lives. You think if they would just do this, this, and this, then they'd be just fine. If they would stop doing this and this and this, then they would be just fine. And you just get in this little tizzy about this other person when you have no control over them. And this leaves you anxious, it leaves you angry, it leaves you bitter, it leaves you resentful towards this person. And this includes situations where people won't take care of themselves. If they just stop doing drugs, if they just stop hanging out with these friends, if they just take care of themselves and eat better, if all those things, that is a strong manifestation of EDD in a person's life. Here is another one. We talked a little bit about this previously, but we talked about complaining. If you catch yourself frequently complaining, that is yet another manifestation of EDD. And what happens is, as you're complaining, it feels like complaining is actually the solution to the problem. You'll complain to the person, or you complain to somebody else about a person or about a situation. Now, it's one thing to bring up a grievance that you have with somebody or with a situation. But if you find yourself going on and on and on and on, and then in a different circumstance, you find yourself complaining again and again and again, ask Holy Spirit to give you eyes to see and ears to hear yourself and your responses when you're riled up. If you have a complaining spirit, that is a strong manifestation of EDD. All right. If you are resistant to people, if you lead in relationships with resistance, you kind of lean out of affection, physical affection, verbal affection, you are cynical about people, you tend to be a pessimist about situations, all that speaks to a really deep-seated sense of enoughness deficit. And so as we go moving into the next series, the next session, where we'll be talking about overcoming EDD, or enoughness deficit disorder, would you just sit with this information? Would you ask Holy Spirit to open your eyes, to search your heart for these various manifestations of EDD in your life? And would you please share in the comments something that I didn't mention that's also a manifestation of EDD, either in yourself or that you've noticed in somebody else that sticks out to you? I bless you. The Lord is with you. He is guiding and maturing you. Coming out of EDD is a lifelong journey, but you can make significant strides if you determine to tackle this beast by the horns and bring it down so that you can grow into your sacred sufficiency. So as I sign off, I want to remind you that you are loved in heaven. You have sacred sufficiency. You do not have to earn enoughness, because enoughness has been given to you to the full. Enjoy it. Walk in it. You are enough. God bless you today. Have an amazing day.